Hello. Today we are talking to the founder of Solomon Park Research Labs again, Patric Clapshaw. Patrick, thank you for joining us again today.
You're welcome.
Um,
I'm glad to be here.
Today, we are going to talk about the C37A procedure that you founded, and it's still like the backbone of what we use today at Solomon Park. So if you could get into that for us, we'd love to hear more.
Well, C37A sounds very strange, I know. And if you actually just go on a search program in the computer and put in C37, you'll get an airplane model, which is not really what we do. But if you go to C37-A and then put in CLSI or NCCLS or anything like that, you will get a document put out by the NCCLS. And that document came about in 1999, I believe. What happened was the CDC contacted the University of Washington, where I was still working part-time and had started my laboratory, the Solomon Park Research Laboratories. And they were looking for someone to do the serum for the lipid standardization programs, about 100 laboratories, and we still send those out. And what they wanted was, they always had trouble with a lot of the lipids are rather tricky as far as getting a good response from different laboratories when you send them out a sample. I remember them telling me that they actually had tried increasing the triglycerides by stirring in the yolk of eggs, or was it the white, some part of the egg or something, which just made a complete mess of the sample.
Mhm.
And so what we did in 1998, 1999, maybe even the year before that, we had several meetings with the CDC, the NIST, the NCCLS, now the CLSI. And I believe there was one or two. Oh, Greg Miller from the University of Virginia was there. Anyway, it was a pretty heady group. I was quite diminished by it because I was just the beginning of a small laboratory out on the West Coast. At any rate, they wanted to develop this procedure that would mimic actual serum samples from people as they would draw in a laboratory and send out to have analyzed. And they just were having a terrible time with any samples they got from anywhere doing that. And a lot of that problem was that people did not really put a great deal of effort into calibrators and controls. They just they may have left it out till it was old. Like they bought the blood from a blood bank after it had gone 21 days and was no longer usable to be given to a person. So the serum was old, the plasma was old, everything was old and beginning to deteriorate quickly. So we worked out this method, the C37A, and in fact, that was published in the CLSI. You can look on the internet and find CLSI C37, and that will take you right to the original publication that we did. And it's rather amazing to me that in this publication, if you buy it, it costs you $180 if you buy it from
Wow.
the CLSI. Well, I'm going to show you how you can get around that in a minute. But at
Tips and
any
tricks.
rate, yeah, well, I mean, it's not illegal or anything. It's just that we made this, uh, we produced this document with the CDC and everyone 1999. And for many years, people would have to go to the CLSI or the NCCLS then and buy it for probably not 180 then. This is now an inflated price, but you could buy it for many years. But actually hardly anybody ever wanted to do it. It's not an easy procedure. It's not horrible, but it's not an easy procedure. What it really amounts to is you have to draw preferably units of blood from people, and we draw it ice cold so it won't clot. Then we spin it, and then we take the plasma, which at that time is still plasma, put that in an incubator and let it clot, and then we spin the clot, and then we have nice, very clean serum. This is all within a couple of hours of drawing the blood. And then we either freeze that up immediately to be used later, or if we're doing something that's a very strict CLSI, C37 procedure, then we make a pool of that immediately with fresh serum, and then we filter that and put it
So
in the
to
vials.
clarify, you draw blood like a full unit, right? A full unit blood bag from a bunch of people, and then you isolate to just the serum and you put it all together, and that's how you make a pool.
Exactly. And
Mm.
what you have to have is we have about somewhere between 800 and 1,000 people in our roles. Not all of them are active at any one time. Last time I checked, there was over 800 people that we could call. And we keep records on them, like what their cholesterol and triglycerides and HDL are. And then we've added now since then probably another dozen or so analytes that we just simply track on our database. So we can call in people with high cholesterol and make a high cholesterol calibrator or control. And it's a very effective control. The CDC formed a study on it where they sent, I think, to at that time 12 different manufacturers and see how they did on comparing what they did with cholesterol against at that time the Abel Kendall, which was the reference procedure. And it was amazing. I mean, they were all within a very close approximation to the reference material. So it was deemed to be, one of the first commutable serums ever produced. And it was actually so close that I went to Gary Myers and said, Gary, that data looks like we've cheated somehow. I mean, you should maybe throw in a few errors just to make it look real. But he refused. He refused, of
Uh,
course.
that's
But
really
it took,
good.
yeah, it was good
Like
stuff.
too good to
It's
be
silly.
true. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I mean, I just felt people. I was just joking, of course, but I was concerned that people would think it was all made up. But it
Hmm.
wasn't, and it was showed that any laboratory would get the same result, which was the big problem at that time. If you wanted to do some research on high cholesterol, which was a big problem, and you wanted to look at maybe 4 or 5 laboratories, you would be maybe 20 to 30% off on these different laboratories. So it was really difficult to compare procedures and anything else, excuse me, for the community. So once we got this commutable serum, that's how it's advertised with a reference value, then we could do total cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, triglycerides, and later we've done ApoA, ApoB, and LP little a. This is all sort of a lipid panel that we've worked on for years, and we still make that for quite a number of laboratories, still for the LSP program. So it's really a, a result. It's really a, a serum that can't be beat. I mean, there's hardly anything out there that can come anywhere near close to giving those results. So, but anyway, to get around the $180 charge for this old 1999 CLSI document, you can go to a well, you can go to the National Library of Medicine on your computer, and if you go to look for an article that was done in 2000 and 2021, we have published an updated protocol based on CLSI document C37 for preparation of off-the-clot serum for individual units for use alone or to prepare commutable pooled serum reference materials. That's the title. Quite easily found, and you can read it online. It's completely just online, free to anybody who wants it. This thing has been able to be made by any laboratory anywhere. We never kept it as some kind of trade secret or hidden behind a patent or anything like that. We felt we were given some money to make this, and we felt it was important to make it available to the research community, community that was working on trying to solve some of the problems in cholesterol research. So it's always been open source. Anybody can read that and do it. But anyway, it's an incredibly good procedure. I think we've made something like 20 different SRMs for the NIST, standard reference materials using this, not just with lipids, but we've done vitamin D and quite a number of other analytes. So it
So
has
it's not,
become,
yeah, just to clarify, it's not just lipids. You can also do vitamin D and other analytes as well.
exactly. It's that procedure just is very robust for giving you serum that exactly acts like patient samples, and
Mhm.
that makes it incredibly valuable to anybody doing research for any analyte that they may be working on. I think I can't remember exactly how many, but I think, well, actually, in this paper there is a list of all the different analytes that have been used. And I don't know if it's on this one or not. Let me just see. There is a supplement. There is a supplement on this. Yeah, okay. So you can get the supplement and see all of these. There are quite a number of different analytes and different studies that have been done, all using C37A. On this paper, they go through that, and you really don't need to have someone already have done this. You can, if you want to do, some new analyte that people are working in laboratories on, you can certainly just have us make that, and if we have values from different people, we can give you a range of values, or just a simple control or whatever. The hardest part of this is to check the commutability. We can rather easily, if there's a standard reference material, and that's, you have to get that from different laboratories. But if there's a standard reference material in existence, so you can get a reference value for, say, total cholesterol or HDL or LP little a, or even vitamin D, or let's see what else we have here. Quite a few vitamin Ds. There's a fatty acids and frozen human serum. But anyway, you can look up or just even have us make it, and chances are it will be commutable. I think there's something like 20 different analytes that are now commutable through this procedure. But to get it to be commutable and proven, you have to get a group of people that use at least 2 different systems. Like they may measure it on a clinical chemistry analyzer, and perhaps by ELISA. So you have these two different systems. And if they get the same value, then we can say it's commutable. The more the better. But there is that that slight problem, and it's hard to get that. I know that the original test that we did was commutable because we used pretty much every existing laboratory that could do lipids. So that's the story of the C37A, not the airplane, but the blood samples. And it's become a very famous method for clinical chemistry used by, we are allowed to add people to that group. So if a laboratory or an institute is interested in being one of the people in the group for the CDC that analyzes these results, it's an educational. It's not it's not anything that they would be rated on by the state or the national government or CLIA or something like that. But they could join the group and have their results compared to all these people, and it's incredibly powerful. The NIST, as I said, for several standard reference materials used by the CDC for the lipid standardization program. The Health Sciences Administration, which is the metrology laboratory in Singapore, uses our procedure. They use quite a broad range of that, and I don't know, you might be able to contact them to see if they have a group that you can join. See who else. Can't think of anything right now, but we do have quite a number of groups that are very famous that have worldwide laboratories that get these tests, compare their machines to everybody else's. We also actually we've developed a program to go ahead and look at people's results and divine whether any errors they have is the machine they're using, or the technician, the reagents they're using. So we have that too.
That's right. That's called commutable quality measure,
That's
CQM,
right.
the
Yeah.
software that
Yeah.
we have launched, and we're still looking for people who would like to join the program, and it's able to, like you said, like see any errors that you have on your machines and compare.
Do other things and look for commutability. I find the biggest problem this system has is just measurements of commutability. You really need to have several laboratories using different procedures to get the same answer to show that it's commutable, just meaning that you can take the same serum and give it to one laboratory that has one kind of machine and another laboratory that has another type of machine, um, and they get the same answer.
I
It
mean,
seems like
you're saving money too, having one type of sample and using on any different machines as well.
yeah, that's right. And we make these pools up, and if we're selling it to someone like the NIST, we send the whole thing to them because they like to control the environment it's in. But
Mhm.
we also do make some things for people and make extra. They just order a small order, and so we'll make a larger pool, and we have that in our freezers. So we can provide people with stuff already made up or make it up for them, again, using this procedure. So it's a very good
Mhm.
system. It's very robust. I'm surprised there aren't other people that have done it, but there aren't. We only have one or two people that ever compete with us for NIST standard reference materials. And I just checked the other day of the standard reference materials that I could find over the last several years. We made 15 of them, and one other company made 5 of them. So Um, that's the story of the C37, or to be more complete, the C37-A.
Can
That's it.
I ask, after you test it on your machine, can you reuse the sample or do you have to discard it because it wears away after one use?
Well, it's more. You can use it more times. You can. It's usually now it's calibrators and controls. So the whole
Mm,
idea of a calibrator is it's higher than anything else in your controls. So your cholesterol has to be like 370, 80, something like that. And then
mhm.
the controls would be like 300, 200, maybe 100 or something below that. And we usually have three controls and one calibrator on these pools we make. But you can set it up and use that, put it in several times. You get a 1 ml sample usually, and usually most modern machines only take microliters out of that. So you could run it quite a few times.
I
The
see.
one question people ask is, can I just put it in the refrigerator and use it several days in a row? And I have to
Yeah.
be honest, we have so much of it that we are able to just get fresh stuff every day. So so we're gluttons that way. But
Uh-huh.
someone who pays good money to buy this, they would have to look at that. I think it would be easy enough to just put it in their machine several days in a row and look at the results. We've done that a few times, but we've never really bothered to do a careful analysis of just put it in the refrigerator. Have to obviously close it up so there's no evaporation. I suspect that it would be as good as any patient sample, and they're usually run from any time during the week up until the Friday or Saturday of that week. So it should be pretty good.
So within a
But
week to use,
yeah,
if it is at temperature.
yeah, you'd really want to avoid freezing it again.
Hmm.
Some things can be refrozen and thawed out, and
Hmm.
that's fine. But lipids, for example, are notoriously bad at freezing and thawing. So,
Mm.
it's like if we make a big pool and it's out of material that we've drawn and frozen that same day, we want to be sure that we make the pool all at once out of all the frozen stuff we want, and then filter in and then set the values. We don't want to set them too early. They usually come out pretty close to the fresh material, so there's not that much of a problem. And I've never had any problem with it not being commutable by any of these groups. But freezing, holding them -20 or even at -70 or 80, which is where we hold them, that's not recommended because it's the proteins get unraveled so that when they come back together, they're not exactly the same. So they often will measure differently. So we try to discourage that, although some people try it anyway.
Mm.
But anyway, it's been around, let's see, 1999, 2009. So it's been around 15, 16 years. Is that right? 19, no, 20 some years. So it's been
Yep.
around quite a while.
We're living proof it still works. We're still using it.
Yeah, yeah, no, we are, and a lot of groups are. I
Yep.
mean, it has really helped these different groups to get the same answers. They may be wrong, but that's
Hmm.
either
All right,
anything
Patrick.
else
Well,
or
no, I think I got everything. Thank you so much for sharing how the C37A procedure came about. Um, so if anyone out there is interested in getting some serum custom pools for some your commutable controls and calibrators, you can reach out to us, or if you're interested in our commutable quality measures program, CQM software, please reach out. Yep, thank you.